everyone. I'm Janine Lee St. John, the Editor-in-Chief of Travel and Leisure Southeast Asia. So perhaps you've heard of Tube Gallery. It's one of the most famous fashion houses in Thailand. With cutting-edge, edgy designs in semi-couture and ready-to-wear, they've exhibited all over Asia as well as Paris and Sydney. They've also come up with some really fun collaborations with some big names. I'm here with one of the founders, Saksit, who, houses for fun, has dressed me in this awesome gown. And it's actually quite fitting that we're talking about style here at the Peri Hotel Hua Hin, which just opened last October and is a 1960s glam, like LA motel chic property that's just off the beach in Hua Hin, one of the hottest beaches of the moment in Thailand right now. But we're also here to talk about pride. So Saksit's partner, Andrew, who was the regional director of a global consulting firm and is now happily retired, is also here as well. Together, these two dapper gentlemen are fixtures on the Bangkok social scene and influence with their great taste in style and architecture. As an aside, we're all vaccinated. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Who is this guy?
Who are you? This is Como,
Como, as in the lake?
as in the lake.
Our friend has a villa on Lake Como and she named him.
That's so fun. Beautiful. So Saksit, you're from Thailand. Andrew, you're from Australia. You guys met in Singapore though, right? That makes you quite the international couple. But I was wondering if we could first talk about your cultural differences. This being Pride Month, could you perhaps tell us, Saksit, first about your coming out story?
Okay, coming out story. If you're talking about coming out in the traditional way, like you go and expose your sexuality to your mom and dad or your parents, I actually never do that. And I will tell you later why.
Okay.
But what I did now with you, probably this is my first coming out for the public in
Surprise.
terms of saying it out loud, right? So, but having said that, I'm saying that because growing up in Thailand, you don't have that much pressure to just have to, just like I'm coming out right now. Everything going by step, I honestly, all my boyfriends, my mother knows. Yeah, but we just don't say that this is my boyfriend.
Right.
We just happen to stay in the same house, in the same room for a certain amount of years, and then we split up and at some point.
Boyfriends before Andrew?
Before I
Really?
Yeah. so I don't have that urge to just have to tell my mother or my father at the time that they were alive.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, they passed away faster than what I would have wanted. So I didn't have that chance to tell them in person as well that, Mom, Dad, this is my life. But I'm totally sure that they all agree with whatever made me happy and whatever choice I made in my life.
That's really lucky. And what about you, Andrew? You're actually from Tasmania, which is one of my favorite places in the entire world. But it's also, I know, quite socially conservative. Could you tell us your coming out story?
Well, I came out 40 years ago. So things are quite different there. Not only was Tasmania conservative, so was a lot of the world.
Right.
And yes, it's not particularly easy. It's like a trial each time you tell someone, whether it be your family, your friends, your work colleagues. It's a test each time. But even Tasmania now, it's a very trendy, artsy, alternative place. So far more accepting, just as is the rest of the world.
Yeah, Hobart's super edgy
Yes.
right now. Yeah, arts. Well, that's good. You guys got married in Australia, right? Sorry, you had a commitment ceremony in Australia as marriage equality wasn't.
No, yes, because at the time we did it, there was no legally marriage
Right.
in Australia or probably nowhere else in the world. We
Yeah.
did this probably 17 years ago, right? So the only option we had at the time is to do the ceremony. Yeah. And up until now, we still not have the chance to go back to Australia and do the proper legal marriage. But having said that, what we did is in any country that have the wedding, gay wedding regulation passed,
Right.
it could be enforced as well. It's the same thing.
Okay. And what was the commitment ceremony like?
We have a country property on the Mornington Peninsula in the wine area. So we had it there, about 30 guests. Half were from Thailand and half were from Australia. And we had it in the garden. It was very natural, cozy, and comfortable and fun day for everyone.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that like every gay wedding, there are a lot of tears, people crying, people just like, oh, and then you can imagine this 17 years ago,
Yeah.
right? And it's quite something. I actually made the top to give it to everybody who's been to the wedding that I have been to the gay wedding.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a souvenir.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so funny to think of it as gay wedding. You wouldn't ever say that now, right? Even if marriage equality does not exist legally in every country, you would still never say, I went to a gay wedding. You would say, like, I went to my friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And that's like how things have changed in at least the past 17
Definitely.
years, right? So that's good. Let's talk about, since we're on the topic of Mornington Peninsula and travel, what's the best trip you guys have ever taken?
I think my favorite place is Bhutan. It's not westernized, it's culturally rich, and it's beautiful. And there's some really quality hotel chains there that give you a very special experience.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Lots of the big, cool names are going in and have like a circuit that you can do
Five
with
Valley
them.
trip, yes.
Yeah, right. And what about you?
Actually, to start with, I love traveling around Asia a lot, especially in Thailand. Just like in Hua Hin here, coming here or to the beautiful hotel like this. Like we have plenty of beautiful hotels and facility in Thailand. But because if you ask that where is the special trip has to be somewhere that is so hard to go to for us. So I would say South America because it's so far away.
Right.
It took about almost 2 days, 1.5 days to arrive there. It combining 14 flights altogether.
What?
No, because when you, in South America, when you go from one place to another place,
Oh, okay.
you just fly, right? It's not,
Like within the trip?
Within the trip.
Okay.
Right. So we went to Iguazu, we went to Buenos Aires, we went to somewhere to go on the Amazon cruise.
Wow.
So it's very different, in terms of like hard to imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, it's exotic, the food is different, different languages. But funny enough, people look like Southeast Asian. I look at them, am I in Thailand or Philippines? And the vegetation actually looks similar.
Oh, yeah.
So I think because of
The latitude, the longitude.
Yeah, we are on the same equation.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of things that you wouldn't imagine that you would find a similarity
Yeah.
that far away from home, you could.
Well, I mean, Chile, right, came from there.
And the chili is fantastic. And it's funny enough that we found the local, this is in Peru, and we found the local transportation. And the guy said that this is called tuk-tuk.
What?
Like, yes.
Really?
And say, really? I'm getting excited. Yes, it's brought in from Thailand because the Thai guy who sell a lot of motorbike want to be able to sell more motorbikes. So we add the things on the back, so we can get the motorbike driver can carry passenger. So it's like a trishaw with the with the motorbike.
That's so funny.
So
that is a
tuk-tuk from Thailand. That's how they know me.
That's funny. So it's like export the other direction 400 years ago, re-import from Asia to South America. And so what about 3 other amazing places that you guys, like 3 other most memorable trips?
I like to go to new places, and particularly ones that haven't been westernized. But I would say Paris is a favorite city. I love its seasons and its lifestyle. And London, I enjoy to go and visit friends and just live the British lifestyle. And of course, our own place in Red Hill in the Mornington Peninsula, to be by a log fire and chill in the countryside, it's pretty special.
I miss fires, gotta say. What about you?
For me, as a gay boy on the Prime Month, I would say Mykonos. I cannot not mention that.
No,
right?
you're right.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so fun, and I went there in my 20s alone on my first trip, by myself backpacking, so it was fantastic time. And apart from that, as I mentioned before, I love Asia. I love Laos. So many people from Thailand don't know much about Laos.
Yeah.
Especially where we went. หลวงพระบาง
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
หลวง
Ancient
หลวงพระบาง
capital,
Yeah.
Luang Prabang.
It's beautiful and it's so peaceful. Anytime I go there, I feel peace in my heart. And apart from Luang Prabang, I also love Bagan in Burma, Myanmar. When you can fly the hot air balloon over all of these pagodas and ruins. It's just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I've never done that. Can you believe it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Put it on your
It's
list.
actually ridiculous. I was supposed to go at the beginning of last year, but we all know what happened to the world.
Yeah.
So,
And adding to that note, it's like we all love to go back to Myanmar when
We would.
it's peaceful and have
Yeah.
and have its freedom back.
yeah, hopefully that situation will resolve itself peacefully. So actually, while we're talking about tourism in Southeast Asia, Thailand just kind of pre-COVID launched a campaign called Go Thai Be Free. And it was to market the country to LGBTQ travelers. So first I wanted to ask you what places in Thailand you guys might recommend to either LGBTQ travelers or just people in general who have like your sensibilities and tastes.
Okay, what go
I think, well, just whether it's LGBT or not, I think now LGBT is so integrated in the culture that similar places appeal to similar people. And what I love about Thailand is its diversity. The fact you can go to Chiang Mai and be in the mountains, or you can go to the national parks, or you can go to the islands. I think one of my favourite places is Koh Samet. It's still got that bit of backpacker touch to it. And if you wanted to find an island where gays welcome the straights, that is definitely the one. And it's a lovely chill, good local food, and a very relaxing place for a long weekend.
Yeah, we call it like straight friendly Samet.
Yes.
You're totally right though. Everybody around the world has said how lucky we have been, to be quarantined, locked down, border shut in Thailand, at least, right? Both of you guys mentioned the diversity of the country. It's been a blessing. What about you, Saksit?
Similar to Andrew, is for me, I love Ireland. I love the beach, and one of the islands that I always go to for probably the last 12 years or more longer than that, 15 years, is Koh Tao in the south of Thailand. And I think, from the day one I went there, I found that it's a bit primitive, it's a bit too laid back for me, right? 15 years back, now I went back there again. I love what it is right now because you still have that sense of backpacking, like going to Scotland, like Andrew mentioned. But you also have the new developments, the new hotel that giving you a good standard or premium standard service.
Right.
So you have the choices, and I always love choices.
Yeah.
I love to go, to be able to sit in the street cafe and pay 50 baht for your food and pay a lot more in the beautiful hotels next door. And I love that kind of combination. And at the moment, Koh Tao is one of the islands in Thailand that can give you that perfect mix and match of that, like rustic Thailand and world-class destination.
That's so interesting you say that, because we actually constantly are talking about the future of travel, and luxury travel especially is so much in that direction of making sure people really want to have authentic experiences no matter how much money they have, right? They want to also eat in the market or meet real people, as well as go back to their comfortable, fluffy bed with excellent service. And so that's so interesting that Koh Tao is a mix of that now. Just wondering if, as a gay couple or gay men individually, you guys have experienced any microaggressions, discrimination, that kind of thing when traveling around the world?
I would say when I was backpacking as a teenager through Europe, it could be difficult or awkward, particularly at check-in. You know, people saying, you really want a double bed? And do you want the same room? And that sort of thing. But I think that the world attitude has changed a lot. Of course, there's still some very conservative countries that hold different beliefs and different laws. But on the whole, I think the world makes it easy for you to travel as a gay couple now.
Fortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, definitely. Especially on the street somewhere, you know, in the Western country. I wouldn't just go to like which country is it, but yes, it happened a few times. And you know, you were walking on the street with your boyfriend, and obviously we were not, you know, like this day that you have to hold hands or thing. We just walk together, but must be obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be some kind of, you know, like some of the, usually the kids that don't like it and, you know, somehow walk following us, shouting at us, saying nasty things, trying to aggravate the, you know, the fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's few times that happened, that at least one of the time that it went into escalated into bigger incident. But in general, it's not of, you know, you wouldn't see that every day you travel, but it could happen. And once it happens, it's not exactly a good experience.
Right.
Yeah, it's something that you want to leave the place. You don't want to be here.
Yeah, it's like imprinted.
Yeah, and it's you feel insecure. You feel not safe, and you don't know how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with me, and probably a lot of people, is when you cannot fix things. Like, we cannot fix who we are, we cannot fix our skin color,
Right.
we cannot fix how we look like, or sometimes, you know, it's a lot of things we cannot fix. And once that is become something that people pointed out that is wrong,
That they think is wrong.
they think it's wrong. It's so hard for us to consume it and get over it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that conversation is coming out more in all of the communities, right? Like minority communities, Black travel, women solo travel, in addition, right, to LGBTQ. Also, obviously, Asian, like in this now because of COVID prejudice, etc. So actually, to that end, as I was saying, the Thailand Tourism Authority had launched this Go Thai Be Free campaign. And one thing that I thought was really interesting about it was that they were trying to help hotels and other travel agencies, people who work in the industry, to not just market themselves better, but also be more sensitive and be like understand how to better speak to, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but you know, to the LGBTQ segment, which we have to all admit is quite lucrative in the tourism industry. So I was wondering if you guys had any advice of things that perhaps they might do or hoteliers might do.
I think to begin with, to talking about a bit about the marketing part of it, I think it's a very wonderful idea about this that Thailand has, you know, start to think about this and launch this and do this. But but in general, in Thailand, we are not even gay friendly, because gay friendly is about you think that you have to be friendly. A lot of things come from, it's natural in Thailand that we don't actually care much about who you are, gay or straight, or you can be who you are in most of the places. But of course, there are still the places that they don't so open-minded. It could be some part of Thailand as well. You have to be careful. So I think the thing that the hotel can help, with the guests is somehow trying to give some information about how to enjoy yourself to the most, and still go along with the culture around you.
Right.
So because even you are gay or straight, you cannot just go into a certain place and say, this is my life, this is my way of living, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna wear a flip-flop everywhere, and I'm gonna wear short, and I'm gonna just like talk so loud in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's all about inform them what is you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Right, in general.
In general, in a certain space, in the very light way, in a very clever way to inform and make guests not feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a good idea. What about you, Andrew?
I think it's about the little things. When you check in and you're registered as Mr. and Mrs., or you get to the bedroom and you've got a his and her dressing gown, or people say, are you sure you don't want 2 single beds? Or maybe they take the flowers and the candle off the table when 2 guys sit at the table. It's just the small things. And it's as very much through the travel industry now, it's about differentiating yourself, being truly customized for the experience of your individual guest. So I think it's just following the general trend that we're seeing in travel now, and that is making sure you really are catering to the needs of that individual. Yeah. So you don't want the big slipper and the small slipper in the room. There are just little things you can do to make people feel more comfortable and make the experience feel more personal.
I have one experience with him that I want to add to this.
Okay.
It's quite funny actually for us. I'm not sure for the others. We went to Maldives, right? And as you know, Maldives is a place for couples,
right?
And in the traditional way, is a straight couple more than gay couple. So he rang from the room and saying to the reception that, I would like to book the table tonight for my partner. Is the birthday. So okay, we will do something specially for you. Once we arrive at the table, there is this beautiful, candlelit and the flower that made into the letters saying, "Happy birthday, Mrs. Hurt."
Oops.
And I think that is one of the great examples.
Yeah, exactly. Just making assumptions.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's ingrained in all of us, right? To make assumptions. And so to train your brain to undo it. And you're totally right. The way that hospitality is trending, especially luxury, but in fact, in all levels, because everybody needs to stand out as a brand and want their customers to have some sort of loyalty. You have to have loyalty to them in the first place. You have to make the investment in figuring out, maybe you guys do have different size feet, like small size and big size, but that is actually a question you can ask, or I can observe when I pick you up at the airport in the limo on the way in, and somebody can run back into the room and fix it. So it's, I totally agree with you. Like and that is on the checklist of what Thailand was telling hospitality industry to do. So, so Thailand does, as we know, have a fairly open mindset about gay culture, but same-sex marriage is not yet legal here. I was wondering what your thoughts are to that end and what it might mean to you to be legally married in the country in which you reside.
When I was younger, I think that we don't have to follow the idea of straight couples that you need to have the legal marriage, etc. But once I getting older, I become understand that by not having the rights to get married, two people that live together, you lost a lot of rights. Just like, if I go to the hospital with him now and I want to sign something to make him at the emergency time, I need to sign something to let him be able to have the treat or the care. I can't,
Right.
because I don't have that rights. And it's so on the property rights and a lot of rights. So yes, we need that law to pass on to be able to come legally in Thailand. I know that we come so far. The law is somewhere on the process,
Right.
baking, and we just need it to come out soon.
Come out.
Yeah, and sooner or later, and I'm sure it's gonna happen in Thailand. It's just a matter of time, and I hope it's not too late.
Yeah. Well, me too.
I think the progress by the government has been disappointing. I think that there's been a lot of talk, but there hasn't really been much concrete action. And it's not about having a wedding certificate. It's about having the legal right to look after your loved one and make decisions if they're ill in hospital. It's about being able to buy a property together. It's about an expat being able to be recognised as a married citizen in Thailand. It's about being able to get a mortgage together, put each other as beneficiaries on life insurance. There are a lot of things that we can't enjoy, that other people just take as a standard privilege. And so I would like to see the laws accelerated for equality.
And the sense of being accepted
Yeah.
as equal as the rest of the population.
Right.
Yeah. Because you in the way that when you don't think that it's important, but it's important. Once everything's set the same, the mentality of a lot of people will change.
Yeah.
If not right after, it will be at some point that they gradually change. That when you have the same rights, it means you're not different.
Yeah.
And people will start to change the idea about gay.
I mean, blacks and whites were only legally allowed to marry in the United States, 1969.
Wow.
So I think, and before that, it was super taboo. Nobody, I mean, depending on where you were, it was state by state, our country. So depended on the state, but obviously it's been a long time since then, and the fight for marriage equality has progressed to much, I mean, obviously things we can all agree, the three of us can agree, should be the case, but to that end, right, when you, one step normalizes things, and I'm meaning normalize in the good way, right, not in the fear-mongering way. So yeah, I agree with you. It's just so interesting how like matters of the heart are wrapped up in things that are so not romantic, right? I mean, the last thing you want to think about is your partner in the hospital dying, but like you need to think about that when you make life choices, when you don't actually have the same legal rights as a heterosexual couple. Okay, so maybe we turn to something a little lighter. Is it cheesy to think of marriage equality as like the pot of gold at the end of the pride rainbow? We all know that the rainbow flag is a symbol of pride, and I was wondering if you guys could maybe tell me, as aesthetes, as designer, what word first comes to mind when I say each color of the rainbow? Yeah? Okay. So, red.
Dorothy shoes. Click, click.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Yes.
Love.
Love. Orange.
Screwdriver.
The drink.
Yes.
Vitamin
Sunset.
C. Aw. It's more romantic than you right now. How about yellow?
Yellow, submarine.
Beatles.
Sunshine.
Oh. And blue?
Blue, the song Blue Moon.
Ocean.
You're like on the beach vibe. I like it. We need to hit the beach after this. Green.
Peter Greenaway, director.
Andrew.
Birthday.
Another thing we should all care about. Indigo.
The French restaurant in Ceylon.
Ah, delicious.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. And you?
Tricky one. I think I would go with the same answer. I think that's
Mm.
what first came to mind.
Because of the cheese,
The garden setting.
the garden. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And the last one is violet.
I don't even think about it.
What? You gave me a beautiful violet dress.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but violet actually mean about the light. But
All right.
yeah, the dress.
Oh. I'll have to show you guys later.
To me, it's sort of about royalty, about luxury.
Me too. Violet dress. I need a little crown. Okay, so as we wrap up, I would just like to ask my friends, elder statesmen of the LGBTQ community, what advice you guys might have for younger members of the community.
Okay. For me, the only thing that I would say is, you just have to be yourself. You have to be the very best of yourself, and you cannot be somebody else because they already taken. You can just be you. And if somebody don't like it, it's their own problem. It's not ours. So be the best of yourself.
That's nice. That's what my mom always said too. And you?
I think the advice applies to both old and young members of the gay community.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I think,
Equal rights.
Yeah, equal rights.
I think coming out is still a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I would encourage them to have the confidence to be who they are, and their families, their friends and their colleagues will love them for who they are, and they're the people that they want to be around. So be yourself, be confident to be who you want to be, and believe in yourself.
I think that is a hopeful note for all of us. Some advice we should probably all take to heart. I want to thank Andrew and Saxit and Como, who's gone, for chatting with me at the Peri Hotel. Happy Pride, you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.